So when we talk about people-centric, that is saying we are investing and backing this company and working with the leadership team because they're doing such important work that people need. It's been shaped by the first venture I co-founded called Offer Health, which after 10 years, raising some capital, currently sit on the board. We've scaled to 4 states. We take care of about 11,000 kids on Medicaid a year. I'm utilizing my medical degree to say, first, do no harm, take care of people. And I think it's really good business to be able to build a business model around something that's truly valuable to people. So all the stakeholders win. The level of stress is because I put myself in positions of underdog scenarios that I need to accomplish. And I'm grateful for that. That's why I'm happy. I'm grateful that I'm in a scenario or various scenarios which are stressful, but I chose that and I know I'm going to be okay. The pathway is very long. And so whether you're building the company or raising capital, it is about continuing to show up. You will come with self-doubt. You will come with good days and bad days, but you just have to keep showing up and put yourself in a place of opportunity and growth.
Naveen Goel, anesthesiologist turned venture capitalist with people at the center. He is a co-founder and managing partner at Loud Capital. And Naveen is an author of sensational book, Physician Underdog, leveraging the underdog mentality to move forward. His life is full of meaning, values, and success. Please meet Naveen Goel.
Hey, thank you very much for having me here today. I'm excited to have this discussion.
Hello, Naveen. I appreciate your acceptance of my invitation to join this podcast. And I think my audience will be happy to learn from you, from your story, from your experience. And my first question to you, you're somehow very unique type of venture capitalist. You are a physician. You are an anesthesiologist. So how did it happen to move from a physician to venture capitalist and in both areas to be quite successful guy? So please tell us your story.
Yeah, well, it's quite a long story and has a bunch of steps, but I will try to do my best to be efficient and explain how I got into it. I was practicing as an anesthesiologist for many years, and after a few years of working on a private practice job, your learning curve goes a little flat. There's all these things that you learn as a student, going into medical school, residency. You're constantly training and learning tons of information and being tested. And eventually, at the end of that journey is, you're board certified, you get a job, and you start working. And there's still new patients, new environments. There's always challenges, but the amount of information that you're absorbing and retaining is no longer as great as all the information that you've done as a student. So in essence, I was starting to get a little bored. My learning curve was a little more flat. I was very happy with my job. I have a wife and 2 girls. I'm very content, but started looking around and saying, what more can I learn? What more can I do? And in the field of medicine, I just felt like, I knew a good amount and I was doing it every day. So I think I was craving something different. I started doing some personal investing as an angel investor. I started to get to know some entrepreneurs and different founders and got very inspired by how they were leaving places of comfort to pursue a passion or a purpose and doing anything they could to build it. And that was very foreign to me because, the medical journey is very different. It's a structured journey. It's very difficult and challenging in its own way. but you know what you're working towards. As an entrepreneur, you really don't. And so that can scare people away. For me, it kind of inspired me. And so I just started learning more, reading a lot. I started personally investing. And then eventually I started and co-founded my first company in 2014.
So somehow you changed your mission in your life. Did you think about that time when you moved from one life to another life, that you really change your mission dramatically? Or it's the same mission, but little bit from different perspective?
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't know if my mission really changed. And I like to tell a lot of people who are going in the medical field and say, I want to be a doctor because I want to help people. There are a lot of people who need help, and I want to be a physician or go into the health care industry to help. And now I feel like there are so many ways to help people, if that is one of your kind of missions in life, or that's something you strive to do. And I feel like medicine is a great way to do that, but it's one career path. There are many other ways to help people. And so this might sound kind of funny, but from a venture capital standpoint, from an entrepreneur standpoint, there are many ways we can help people by building and backing various companies that do serve people. And you're also serving entrepreneurs and the people that are running those companies that also are serving people. So I just feel like my mission hasn't really changed, but the way I'm doing it has expanded.
Thank you very much. And one of the missions of our interview to help entrepreneurs to understand the mind of venture capitalists, because they have to learn. They meet a lot of different venture capitalists, and they have to learn how to adjust their mission and their vision to specific requirements and mindset of a venture investor, because they want money. They want to have this, I would say, to marry this venture investor, and they have somehow to align together. So that's why we're talking about mission. But before we will continue to roll out about mission and vision, I was very much intrigued about the name of your book and what you're talking about. What is it, underdog? Why underdog? So it's very intrigued.
Yeah, and then those two words put together aren't very common. You know, usually it's when you think or hear of physician, you think, okay, there's a smart person, educated in society, helps society, respected in society. And by the way, that still holds true. However, the physicians who are in that seat, many of them don't feel that way because, well, there's a couple of different things. Number one, the healthcare industry is tough and it's changing and it's evolved, and physicians have been a bit lost in the mix of, you know, being leaders, training to lead, seeing patients making decisions, but not really getting their voice into the right tables of decision-making as we start to reshape and evolve the healthcare system. That's number one. Number two, I think this applies to many people, not just physicians, which is we wanted to do something. We trained very hard to get there. And now that I'm here, why am I feeling unfulfilled? I did everything right. I worked hard. I now have a job. Hopefully, you know, I'm doing well financially. I have this level of credibility. Shouldn't things be like really, really great right now? And it's this feeling of, wait, you know, and going, let's say, to my story, why did I feel bored when I was a practicing anesthesiologist? I should have felt that way. Why was I looking around and looking to learn more things and different things? I didn't expect that. I expected to study so hard, which I did, get into a field and be happy for life. Now, I am a big person of mindset, so I could take that situation and try to make the best of it, but I still felt something so strong inside that I could do more. I could do more to help people. I could do more to help myself. I could learn different skill sets that I was not learning on the job or around that kind of industry. So I took it on my own to move out of this kind of zone that I've worked so hard to be in and learn new pathways in a new journey, which to me was an underdog scenario because I'm an expert in one domain and very naive in the other. And I had to learn so many things. As time goes on, it is an underdog scenario. However, I encourage you to put yourself in some of these scenarios because it is a place of discomfort. It is a place to allow for self-reflection. It is a place that maybe gives you so much energy to drive you into different direction to grow yourself. You might become more fulfilled. You might become a person who shows up better. So that's why I named it Physician Underdog. I'm talking about myself, but after talking with physicians around the world, medical students, a bunch of healthcare professionals, and even other professionals outside of healthcare, people have been relating to it.
It looks like your subconscious mind wasn't agree with your logical thinking to become a very good physician, and just push you to different direction. By the way, I am in exactly the same transition today from entrepreneur to venture capitalist, and it's not easy actually because it's a totally different type of thinking. And and here you say about people-centric, you are people-centric venture capitalist. What does it mean? You are looking for good people. What is your priority when you invest into the startup or chain of priorities?
Yeah, so people who are in the company, it's important that we take care of them, invest in them for their own growth and fulfillment. That's not just feel good, that's also good business because you're going to keep those people and they're going to want to stick around and contribute to your company. Number two, that group of people working in the company should be providing a service or a product or benefiting their customers in some way, not just monetizing them. And so that's where I get excited. So when we talk about people-centric, that is saying we are investing and backing this company and working with the leadership team because they're doing such important work that people need. And so, it's been shaped by the first venture I co-founded called Offer Health, which, after 10 years raising some capital, I currently sit on the board. We've scaled to 4 states. We take care of about 11,000 kids on Medicaid a year. And so that company and the whole journey of it, and it's been plenty of ups and downs, and I've learned a lot, has shaped the way I look at entrepreneurship, has shaped the way I look at venture capital, and it's why people-centric came to mind when thinking of philosophically how we want to be as a company, because it's very easy to get lost in the mix of making money off of various products or services that aren't really adding value to people, but simply, let's say, taking advantage of spending habits or marketing in a way where things are needed but not really needed, not really sustainable. And there's plenty of companies and products and things to invest in to make some quick bucks and to lose some quick bucks, but are they adding value to society? And that's where I feel like deeply I'm utilizing my medical degree to say, first, do no harm, take care of people. And I think it's really good business to be able to build a business model around something that's truly valuable to people, so all the stakeholders win.
Wow, that's amazing. So you developed some strategy how to go through all these, I would say, personal value chains. So physician, entrepreneur. By the way, I think that the best venture capitalist should have entrepreneurial background. We agree on that. This is a must.
Yes. And I'll tell you, there's a lot of people in the venture capital space who have not been an entrepreneur or been in a growth stage company. And I only say that because I encourage that experience to bring empathy and real value to your companies.
Believe me, when I was raising for my first company, like young entrepreneur 15 years ago, it was a huge difference between people who had entrepreneurial background and some MBAs who went like analyst and then became some managing partner of venture capital. It's like different sides of the river. One is a big side, and another side, another beach is very low. So it was very, very difficult to understand what they want in this case.
Yeah.
It looks like you developed some strategy. Maybe you can share with us how to come from underdog, how to overcome underdog mentality and shift toward some meaningful activity.
Yeah. So number one, I think there's a mindset shift that we can all do, which is, hey, I'm in this underdog position. And let's say, from an outside perspective, people are betting against you based on what they see. So they see someone who is a little bummed out in this, let's if we're talking about in this line of work, who is an expert or very well skilled in it, but wants to jump into something completely different. People might say, oh man, that's tough. Like, good luck with that. That might take you a while. I'm not sure if that makes sense. You should stay in your comfort zone. If someone said that to me today, it's almost like a challenge. Like, I challenge you to do that. Can you do it? And so I use the underdog feeling, the underdog judgment, some of the answers of no's, and I say, they don't know what's inside me. And so that external no or judgment is not looking at what I have inside. Only I know what I have inside. So I've done a lot of different things over the years to extract that internal strength and energy that we all have. Some of it is reflection. I do a lot of reading, which also allows me to reflect. I also, when I read, I learn about how everyone has felt that way. Every person, any role model that anyone is listening has, they have a story where they were doubting themselves. In fact, there's a good chance they still doubt themselves. And when you know that and truly understand that, you realize everyone is feeling the same way. And so if you let those judgments stop you, if you let those self-doubts, if you give so much weight to it, then you won't be doing anything. You won't be growing. You're not going to find what you're meant to find. And I just think the underdog scenario for me is very motivating. Like, I know I can do more. What can I do more of today? And when I say more, it doesn't mean hustle, work harder. Sometimes it's like, get more sleep, go take a walk, take a break. Don't book more meetings, just walk and think.
Be more happy, I would say. Be more happy.
Yes, positive outlook. So that mentality has really helped me. And I've realized when I talk to some people, it's not that easy to make that switch of what I just said. Well, mine happened over time, and now I'm a very empowered person. So it's another reason why I like doing these interviews. It's another reason why I like posting content, because I feel like we all need to be empowered to really bring out the inner potential in us. And so how do we empower each other? And, there's no one strategy for this, but I think we need to encourage each other. I think we need to share that all these doubts and all these pieces of adversity happen to all of us, and you're not alone. I also think we should ask for help. I used to be shy about that. Now I'm very open about that. In fact, I list out my weaknesses and I say, I got so many weaknesses, I need help. And so it's like being comfortable in your own skin.
This is a pure leadership, because how I consider leadership is shift from perception to perspective. And then you created this shift, you immediately get into the new land of understanding people, of perspectives. And this is actually amazing. Interesting. Many startup founders came to me, and I asked them, how you define success? And, what do you want actually? And 99% answer, we wanted to succeed. We want a success. And I define success like some limitation. People feel limits of resources. That's why they're looking for success. And success like horizon. You get to this point, milestone, and you see that there are more things you have to do. So success unachievable success. That's impossible to achieve. But what is possible to achieve is happiness. So what you are doing, you are happy about it, and this is part of success, because if you are happy, you don't feel lack of something.
Yeah, and actually I can tell you, I would say the level of, stress on my shoulders right now at this moment is very high on the things that I have to do, the projects I'm involved in right now. And yet I'm probably the happiest I've ever been in my life. And so I say that because the level of stress is because I put myself in positions of underdog scenarios that I need to accomplish. And I'm grateful for that. That's why I'm happy. I'm grateful that I am in a scenario or various scenarios which are stressful, but I chose that. And I know I'm going to be okay. It's going to take some time. It's going to take some, inner power here. But, great things do not happen without sacrifice. It never does. And that's okay. Like when you really know that truth, it's starting to feel more comfortable to put yourself in these uncomfortable situations. But I am very happy, and that's taken a long time to realize that, by the way.
Right. Dear entrepreneurs, now you learn how to get investment from Naveen. Just be yourself, be happy, and show that you have the power and you have the mission. Okay, very interesting. Let's continue a little bit about how you consider the founder when founder comes. Do you have some list of, specification or archetype or avatar for founder who exactly align with your mission and your understanding and your perspective?
Well, I think a few traits that I look for in founders that over time we've realized are the ones that are successful and wherever the company is shifting is humility. So one thing is, if you're a first-time founder, you may or may not have understood how hard it is to build a business and to run a business. So even after you get a round of funding, then the pressure's on to execute on that. The pressure's on to bring in people and retain people. The pressure's on to grow. And that's if you decided to take venture, because we talk about venture capital a lot, but most companies do not need or do not want venture. There's other potential opportunities to get financing. Venture is a different animal. So humility is one, because if you're not humble today, you will get humbled very soon, because it's a very tough journey. And we don't want that surprise, when things happen. And I think most investors would agree with that. You need to be prepared for what's happening tomorrow and the next day. Adaptability, because of the similar reasons. There's a lot of things that are going to happen that this company might look very different tomorrow. And so it's the ability to adapt instead of look back and always say, why did I do this? Why are we here? What's going on? It's looking forward, adapting to what's ahead. And then number 3, which I think is really important too, is, and this touches with humility, is, awareness, self-awareness, which is, I need to be aware of my strengths and weaknesses. Just like I told you, I always list out my weaknesses right away, because the whole goal is to problem solve. The goal is not ego here. The goal is to say, I am aware of what I'm good at. I'm aware of where I get energy. I'm aware of what I'm not great at and where I lose energy, and I need to complement myself. And I also need to understand when I have investors who have invested in me, I need to be able to listen to them and be aware of what they're telling me, because sometimes that message doesn't sink in. Like, hey, this company's not doing so well. Maybe we should make some big changes. And so those are just a few things that come off, the top of my head. And if you've noticed, this has to do with personalities of the founder or the team of leaders, because you work with them a lot. Because this is a long-term relationship. This isn't here's some investment. Let's talk once in a while and go from there. This is a long-term relationship. So it's really important that they're a team member and not kind of a solo driver.
How many companies do you have in your portfolio today?
We have about 80 companies.
Wow. And did you have some exits? And
Yes. Yeah, we've had some exits. We've had some shut down. And there's ways, I mean, I have a lot of perspectives on gracefully shutting down a company and communicating it and going to start another one, ways to not shut down a company, ways to exit, and, you know, how you manage that with things that happen afterwards. So you know, experienced a lot of things in a lot of industries. We're very focused on healthcare and the venture space right now, but prior to that, we did healthcare, and we also did some other industries such as energy, education, technology. And so had a lot of exposure to, you know, some of these traits and some of the ones that didn't have these traits.
What stages of this companies you invest in?
So before we used to invest in pre-seed and seed. Now it's more seed, Series A. We've also done some follow-ons and future rounds. But a little bit on the earlier venture side where the business exists, they have customers, they have revenue, and, you know, they still have a lot of moldability and open pathways ahead of them. And we like to help shape that with the team.
Yeah, today, you know, it's interesting because most of the investment today goes to seed and pre-seed, but it's very risky, very much risky. But, you know, pitch deck report talk about that round A and B is the most dangerous time for the startup. It's very difficult to, because we know everything about startup already. We see the product market fit. We understand the chasm, where there is a chasm. And this is the most risky investment. It's risky and not risky as well. But, you know.
I think there's different levels of risk. There's different skills needed at each stage. And yeah, the earlier you get in, the higher the risk, but the, you know, potential higher return. But yeah, there's just, it's hard to put labels on that because it's just a whole vertical and we label them A, B, you know, pre-seed, but really it's just a spectrum on a vertical going from inception to the company to an exit or some liquidation.
And what I learned when I think logically, I lose. So
yeah, that's a good way.
The logic doesn't work here.
Logic doesn't work here.
So, wow, very interesting. So we are going to wrap up. And my last question I ask everybody in my podcast about what is your message to young entrepreneurs and specifically for entrepreneurs looking for money specifically from you?
I would say that the pathway is very long. And so whether you're building the company or raising capital, it is about continuing to show up. You will come with self-doubt. You will come with good days and bad days, but you just have to keep showing up and put yourself in a place of opportunity and growth. And I say that with, you know, I have had to tell myself that, by the way. There's plenty of days where I feel like I've got defeated, but by continuing to show up, I've overcome those questionable defeats. So keep showing up. And, you know, myself as an investor, I've said no many times. When I'm saying no, and I would say this for most investors, you're saying no because it isn't the right time for us or it's not aligned with how we feel. But that one no is just one no. There are so many potential yeses out there. All it takes is one. And again, I have experiences as a founder raising capital and gotten plenty of no's. So just remember to not take that personally. A no is just one no. And then the next day is another no. You just keep going. And you read about people who've had hundreds of rejections until they got a yes. So the people that continue to learn, by the way, so if it's a no with some reasoning, That's great. That feedback is gold. Use that and try to optimize for your next meeting or for your next investor. So yeah, so keep showing up and keep learning and keep going.
Right, I totally agree. And first thing I learned when I entered into venture capital area, I learned how to say no. It was very difficult for me because I experienced a lot of no when I was an entrepreneur, and I didn't like how it happened, this no. Not because I cannot embrace rejection, because it was somehow not, I don't know, I wouldn't say not polite, but something I couldn't learn from this no. So the first thing I started to learn how to say no, and at the same time to share with entrepreneur some insights why I said this, so to help this entrepreneur to grow and maybe get back to me and at the next round. Naveen, thank you very much. It was an amazing conversation, and I hope we will meet again.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a great conversation.
Yeah, thank you.